Because we were talking about self-expression, and that's also the title of the school. But now, this weekend, what I want to convey is that the worst thing you could ever think of is self-expression. Self-expression doesn't work, and it becomes more and more complicated the more it is self-expression. Actually, the very term is the problem. If we could think of a real term and the real experience of life that could be regarded as a natural flow of communication and interaction, it's only if you omit this first half. If you omit this first half, you get only expression. And if you get only expression, you get what I call true spontaneity. And that's why I say it's the left side of the throat chakra. Is the most important to understand is that the throat chakra doesn't do well with a self stuck in the throat. Do you see? It's really like what we call the lump in our throat. What hinders the expression is the self. When we always think in the opposite way, we think I want to express myself, you see? And the more we think I want to express myself, the more it gets stuck. Myself makes it so difficult because immediately we put at the center of it all, at the center of expression, some imaginary being. That expression revolves around it, rather than it revolve around expression. You see, it's all about me fulfilling myself, making myself heard, voiced, and so on and so on. And this experience creates something that is the greatest hindrance to expression. And that is self-image. Self-image is a sort of a thing that happens in our mind, and it's a sort of a mirroring. You see, for example, if we are right now in the situation, then imagine that I had self-image, then it would always be, how do I look? How do I perform? Do I impress them? And I would constantly mirror myself and you see? Myself but as an image. It's like I duplicate the situation instead of being completely the situation, one with the situation. And this is where things begin to become very confusing. Because with self-image, there comes the greatest hindrance, in which we keep interrupting the flow of communication and interaction, you see? Now, it's important to understand that self-image has never been some kind of, everyone who knows my teaching knows that I never accept any kind of mistake or error in creation, right? I always consider everything a part of a legitimate or necessary part, sometimes a stage. Self-image has never been an error. You're not doing there's nothing terrible that you're doing. It's just a phase, okay? And we can think very, very grossly about 3 stages. One is the stage of that exists prior to our self-image, exists prior to our overload of consciousness, overload of this process of mirroring and duplication. And before there was any kind of self-image or self-consciousness, we were to a certain degree spontaneous, idiotically spontaneous. You see, it's like you're not conscious of what is happening. It's you're one with the situation, not in a wise way. It's almost like a process of impulses from the outer world, and then there are reactions or responses. But it all happens in the unconscious. You're not really there. Then you're starting to develop self-image, self-consciousness. You're becoming aware of yourself in society, of yourself in interaction, of your responses, and you are learning yourself and aware of everything that you say or the way you say it, and that is a necessary stage, because we must become aware. But of course, when you become aware, it also leads to a very awkward life, right? Because you always filter, you're always cautious, you're always examining reactions, you're always, being yourself. And there is a beautiful Zen statement that if the goat knew that it was a goat, its legs would begin to tumble, to shake, and it wouldn't be able to walk, that it would fall. You see, because too much self-awareness makes you begin to suspect that you don't even know how to walk, or in our context, how to express. So this is a very awkward stage, this middle stage, because we can say one stage is spontaneity without very small, huh? Spontaneity without consciousness. Second is self-consciousness. In this stage, we obviously we are anxious. We all the time think and reflect. Also while in communication. But that's not the real stage. Here, the final stage, or the complete fulfillment of expression, always you return to a certain degree to the first stage. You see. It's like in every type of evolution, you return to a certain degree to the initial, most natural stage, but now with consciousness. You see, so therefore you return to spontaneity, but this time it's spontaneity with consciousness. But please pay attention, we said consciousness without self. It means there is full awareness, there is full presence, and we will talk a lot about presence in this afternoon, because it's an extremely important part. But it's without the self-reflection. And this stage actually appears when we are starting to realize that actually the self stands in the way of expression. And to a certain degree, to really express, to really fulfill what needs to be expressed through our body, through our mind, through our heart, we must clear away this element, this center, and just allow the river of life to flow through us. Yes, to a certain degree it's tragic, because it means that you will never fulfill yourself, you will never express yourself. But that's only partly tragic, of course, because it just means that life will fulfill itself, or life will express itself, or the life in you, with its energies and perspectives and truth, will fulfill itself. This is a very important point, because it means that when we say that there is an inner truth inside me that needs to be expressed, or that wants to be expressed, we always think of some kind of a me that wants to express this truth. Do you understand? It's like there is something inside me that I want to express. It's like there is an inner voice. There is some kind of an urge, a vision, or whatever. But what we need to understand is that this inner voice or urge wants to express itself. It has its own drive, and what we imagine as ourselves is actually the interference. It's the interruption. It's what blocks it, because it suddenly makes the message about us. It suddenly makes the expression something that is connected to us, to our fulfillment. We want to imagine that as a river that flows from within, and that the real work is to remove the obstacles that make this experience ours or about us. When I stand in front of you, and of course when I use I stand in front of you, it's just for because these are the barriers of language, and it sounds more reasonable. I wouldn't say what is more accurate when that stands in front of that, yes, but what is really important in this situation is not the speaker, but the message, right? It's what needs to be expressed is the center of the situation, and not what we sometimes imagine as the source of expression, as the owner of expression. And here is one. I don't know if we could call it a tip, because it's funny, but one advice, one point for whenever we express is to feel that, to realize and to tell ourselves that the situation is much bigger than me, or this message is much bigger than me. This opportunity to communicate is bigger than me. And it's not some kind of a missionary way, you see, because missionaries always spoke in way of manipulation, as something that is bigger than them, and the truth that is bigger, and they are just the channels and all that. So this can be easily manipulated. It's more, when I say bigger than me, it means that it's just a truth that this vehicle is allowing, and it's obviously for the sake of the situation. So this is what we call true spontaneity. Spontaneity is not when we, I don't know, what do we even mean when we say that is very spontaneous, or that someone knows how to shoot reactions in the speed of light, or that we don't think when we communicate, or that we're surprising or unexpected in what we do or say. That's why we say true spontaneity. It's a state where there is no self-reflection, where only the situation is. When we are fully engaged, so engaged in the act of communication, that what becomes important, really important, is the discussion itself, or the subject itself, and not the one who delivers it. You remember on the first weekend when I said, and I keep returning to that point, when I said throat chakra reaches its fulfillment when there is no more inner and outer. Remember? When there is, it's like there is no door separating the inner world from the outer world. So here we are returning to that because in true spontaneity, when there is no self-expression, but only expression, it's just the river of life gushing through your being. Then there is no sense of the outer world, because both exist together. Now, what do I mean when I say both exist together? And that's a very subtle element that we need to understand. The most important element of this self-image, and please remember, this self-image is not really self. You're not expected, when I say remove the self, it's some kind of surgery that you're going to do inside yourself to remove some, I don't know, some cancerous organ. It's not about that, you see, because there's nothing there. It's just thoughts, images. So what we need to ask ourselves is what is the self-image made of? What creates it in the first place? Mainly the self-image is what others are going to think about me, right? That's the self-mirroring. It's we're becoming conscious of ourselves in isolation. Suddenly we are somewhere. There is no situation. It's I and them. It's a confrontation. And in this confrontation, there is a constant self-evaluation. We always think that this self-evaluation would end up one day in us reaching some kind of perfect expression, or at least perfectly controlled expression. And actually, we are only becoming more and more awkward, right? Because it suffocates. Something that is so natural. The self cannot be natural, you see? We say, oh, just be natural, just be yourself. Okay, I will just be myself. What does it mean to be myself? To be myself means to be unnatural and to feel uncomfortable, you see? So whoever tells you just be yourself actually advises you very badly, because you can only feel more uncomfortable. The real advice is just be not yourself. So what is it made of? What is it made of? It is made of self-consciousness, but self-consciousness is not really self, it's others. It's in short, it's the image of what others think of me, and it's like I'm internalizing this reflection and making myself my worst enemy. I'm now putting the other inside me, and I keep attacking myself. Now, if you remove the others from your mind, you also remove yourself. Do you understand? They exist together. You cannot really separate them. If, for example, I sit right now, and it's not in an autistic manner, please understand. It's not some kind of as it may sound to our self-image. If I sit right now without an audience, the possibility of communication opens up much more. Because if there is no audience, there's also not me. Now there's just the message. and everyone is just on the message. What I want you to do throughout this day is to slowly become conscious of these thoughts that create the self-image and the feeling of a self. Many people, they say, "I hate social environment. I hate communication." Nobody hates communication. Everyone is just afraid of it. You see? Because when you are in communication, in social communication, you think you need to perform being yourself. That's very effortful, obviously. It's a lot of hard work, and you're becoming conscious of things you are trying to avoid. And actually, we really need these situations to begin to become conscious of what is happening inside the head. This growing feeling of a self that makes communication less and less spontaneous, less and less natural. More and more careful, more and more fearful. The more you are becoming conscious of these thoughts, the more you are realizing something amazing, is that none of these thoughts are what you can call yours. They're not personal. Could you please tell me, share with me? I've made my own list because I gave it some thought before that, but maybe you can say, tell me all kinds of hidden thoughts that would, let's say, make, if you stood here in front instead of me, what thoughts would begin to run inside your mind? Yes?
Did I do that right?
Sorry?
Did I do it right?
Yes. Do I do it right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Am I good enough? Right? Yes. Am I impressive? In other words, do I impress them? Them. Mm-hmm. Yes, more?
Do I look okay?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling that maybe something is not okay and
Mm-hmm.
before I stood in front of people.
Do I look well enough?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Am I understood?
Am I understood? Mm-hmm. Do I make myself clear? Mm-hmm.
what if I'm doing an embarrassing mistake?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. What if I'm making mistakes? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Boring.
Sorry?
I'm boring.
I'm boring. So am I entertaining? It's always very strange to write on the board. Do I write it right? Entertaining. Yes. Yes.
What if I'm telling complete nonsense?
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. 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 Yes.
Do I reach my aim in the sense of do I influence?
Yes. Do I influence? Mm-hmm.
Is it interesting to them?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Will they see my weaknesses or my imperfections?
Yes. Do they see my now become aware that all these thoughts, and we can add like plenty of thoughts, which are basically, it's all really reduced to one question, which is, am I rejected or am I accepted? It's that simple. All this is what we call my inner truth or my inner being or whatever accepted. Consider for a moment that all these thoughts are not really personal. We all have them. They're not special. And basically, what true expression, true spontaneity is all about is when we dare to be without, to begin to disassociate ourselves from this activity of the mind, which is basically what we said, self-image. You see? We are there, we are duplicating the situation, always, by the way, through images, so it's full of projections, it's full of errors of judgment. It always makes the situation much more complicated and emotional and frightening than it is.